What's up, guys? DK. It is time for Final Fantasy XIII-2 again. I actually did a blind up here this game when it first came out, but unfortunately Square Enix did not like that idea. Any video that shows so much as 2 seconds of cutscene footage got hit with a big fat fucking copyright claim. Since I seem to be banned from showing any cutscenes, I'm going to cut most of them out. I don't know what the hell is going on with the plotline anyway, so I'm not going to pretend like I do. Here we go! The game opens up with Lightning duking it out with Kaya's in its Bahamut form. This mostly serves as a tutorial for how the battle system works, but unfortunately it really doesn't help you since the commands in the actual game are very different.
Forgotten time, be reborn.
In all honesty, I truly think the only purpose of this battle is for fanboys to use Lightning for a short amount of time. All you really gotta do is hit him with your strongest attacks and heal whenever your HP gets below half, and you'll be out of this mess before you know it. After a long cutscene, we'll be introduced to our lovely protagonist, Sarah. This game features live trigger events, but most of them are just for comic relief. It doesn't get very important until much later on in the game. We will deal with it then. As you step outside, you will be ambushed by monsters. You will enter a series of battles with our second protagonist, Noel. And by the way, I don't like this guy. There's something about him that just really rubs me the wrong way. This is where the game introduces the paradigm shift, and am I even saying that right? I don't know. But at this point, it really isn't that important, so just hammer the attack button until everything dies. As you move forward, you'll be introduced to the Mod Clock, which is basically the amount of time you have to land the first strike or escape the battle completely. If you land the first strike, you'll be granted a temporary haste effect, your A to B bar will be completely full, and you will increase the enemy's stagger gauge by 20%. Landing a first strike should be your priority in each and every single normal battle you fight. Most battles will go like this. Stagger the enemy with Ravagers, wreck their shit with Commandos, and heal when you need to. Keep in mind that the game automatically heals you after each and every single fight, so don't waste your potions. Like any RPG, you should be exploring areas for new items and equipment. Therefore, I won't bother talking about all of them, but I will talk about things that are really important. But unlike the first game, you can always backtrack, so don't worry if you pass a chest or two. You can always get it later. Continue down the path until you come to the first boss fight. The main purpose of this fight is to show you how important the Sentinel job is. Some enemies use very powerful attacks that you need Sentinels in order to survive it. Otherwise, you might get one-shotted. The battle is very straightforward. Use Ravagers to stagger him, damage him with Commandos, and when he's about to use his swipe attack, switch to your Sentinels. Repeat this process and the battle will be over before you know it. Congratulations, you've collected your first fragment. But unless you are a die-hard fan of this game, which unfortunately most of you are not, this isn't something you need to worry about. Shortly after this, you will gain access to the XIII-2. Unfortunately, it isn't as basic as it was in the first game. This time, all of your jobs share the same board. When you level up on a small node, you will gain a fixed bonus for that node. When you level up on a large node, you will gain a special bonus based on which road you chose for that large node. So for example, if you level up Sarah on a large node as a commando, she would get more attack points. If you level up Sarah on a large node with a Ravager, she would get more magic points. So basically, what you want to do here is you want to focus Sarah on magic and have Node focus on physical attacks. Of course, you can play this however you want. In one of my playthroughs, I trained Sarah to be a physical attacker and the results were quite hilarious. But for the sake of this LP, we are going to assume that Sarah is magic and Node is physical attacks. There's a few things we need to do before we can continue.
Let's check it out.
Collect Lightning's knife. Chase down a bunch of cats.
Wait, the cat isn't an artifact, is it?
The sentry bots aren't really.
Luke was reacting to the kids.
Talk to a bunch of kids.
Looking for playmates.
What are you running from?
Watch it. Don't go that way.
And then chase down another kid. This mainly serves as a way to let you know that Mog actually has a purpose in this game. Fucking Muggles. But basically, anytime Mog starts acting funny and his head is all shining, that means there's something really important nearby.
There, now.
Now we can access areas that we couldn't before for map completion. Unfortunately, it's very common to find yourself stuck at 98%. This is very annoying, so we'll deal with this later. Much, much later. Return back to Sarah's room and you will find the artifact. This is our ticket out of here.
How did that happen?
Where are you going?
Before we head out, however, you might want to do this short fragment side quest.
Hey, you guys. Did you see a medical kit lying around anywhere?
While we're here, make sure you fight a few battles so we can gain some CP. Watching Sarah actually fight is so satisfying. I love it. Simply find the medical kit and then take it back to Nell.
Yes, that's it. You found my kit.
This is completely optional, but you do gain CP for doing it. Hey, he's back! But this time he's got a new trick, but for the most part, the battle is exactly as it was before. This time he practically takes absolutely no damage until you stagger him. The purpose of this is to prevent you from completely just muscling your way through it. The game is forcing you to learn exactly how the combat system works. Not sure if you've noticed this, but most games are doing this nowadays. There's always that one boss that forces you to learn exactly how the game works, otherwise you aren't going to get past it. Fortunately, this game does it at the very beginning, unlike some games that do it in the middle of the game, which is just wrong. Just like before, stagger him with Ravagers. Wreck his shit with Commandos. And anytime he does swipe, switch to your Sentinels. This is pretty much how every boss in the game is going to be fought, which might be the reason why they shake the formula up a little bit in Lightning Returns. By this point, Sarah and Node should reach the end of Stage 1. Here, we are going to choose to increase our ATP bar, but again, you can do this however the fuck you want. Before you level up on the XIII, please take your time and please save your game, because it's very easy to activate the wrong node on the wrong job. And with that, guys, it's time to move on to the next area, the Breshon Ruins. Now, another thing about this game that I have to complain about is the load times. Does this happen on the Xbox version? But the PS3 version, this thing just loads way too damn much. This is ridiculous. As I said before, guys, unfortunately, I cannot show cutscenes. I don't know why, but for whatever reason, Square Enix has a major taboo on Final Fantasy XIII-2 cutscenes. Immediately after landing in Brescia Ruins, you will be ambushed by a giant hand. This boss merely serves as a way to introduce the wound effect. This effect reduces your maximum HP, but this can easily be fixed with a wound potion. Unfortunately, we don't have those yet. Eventually, you will trigger 2 QTEs, and the second one automatically staggers him. And once that happens, the battle is pretty much done.
Think they might have caused it? We'll soon find out, and dig up any intel they've got on Atlas while we're at it.
For some reason, the people in town think we are criminals.
Sarah, it is you.
Eventually, we will be saved by the lovely Alyssa. Yes, I still think she's attractive. At this point, we can now change our party leader from Sarah to Noel if we want to, but anybody who has followed me since 2006, you know perfectly well that this is something that's completely out of the question. As I said before, you should be exploring every area you can to find more items, so I won't bother listing everything you can find, but I will show the really important ones, like this one for example, Leaving Gate Seal. Make sure you get this. Over here you will find a cute looking woman cosplaying as a chocobo.
Chocobocolina!
Actually, no, this isn't a cosplay. It's some kind of time-traveling paradox effect. I don't know how the fuck that works. Time traveling is always confusing. I won't spoil her full story. It's something you might want to experience for yourself. In any case, she is the merchant of this game, so you're going to be seeing her a lot. Apparently, she can teleport in any place at any time she wants, which is pretty fucking awesome. Don't bother with weapons and accessories right now unless you have the money to spare. But I will say this, however. Always make sure that you keep wound potions in stock. So for the remainder of this LP, I'm going to assume that you always have wound potions. They are very important. As you move forward, you'll be introduced to monster taming. Basically, when you kill a monster, there's a small chance that they will leave a crystal behind, and then you can use that monster as a third party member in battle. If you are new to this game, I highly recommend that you take the tutorial so you can learn how all this works. It's gonna seem very confusing at first, but once you get the hang of it, it's very simple. The 2 free monsters we just picked up will definitely suffice for this level, but it might not be a bad idea to try to get a few more. You will quickly realize that taming monsters is a major pain in the ass and it will test your patience, so hang in there. Talking to 2 of the guards here in this area will trigger 2 fragment side quests.
Sorry, I can't deal with you right now. Exploring, are we? I want to be careful in here.
In this area, Mog will start acting funny again, and this is where we finally get the Mog Hunt. This ability is used to reveal hidden items. And here we get our first wild artifact. These things are very important and some of them are very obnoxious to obtain, so make sure you use them sparingly.
Go, Mog.
The first guard wants you to collect 2 capsules.
There's something I just have to make sure of. They can't seal off the ruins. Not yet. They still deal with threats the same way. The government didn't learn anything from the purge.
And the second one requires you to take down a thief. At this point of the game, it's pretty tough to beat because it can one-shot you with fire rod if you're not careful. So you might need to level up first. This level does a very good job introducing just how non-linear this game really is. It's just like XIII-2. It's about 30% story and 70% side quests. It's ridiculous. Now the game will ask you if you want to fight Atlas head on or if you want to find another way. Unless you have a death wish, you might want to do this another way. As you make your way down the path on the other end, eventually you will be warped into a puzzle room. And let me tell you right now, these things fucking suck. Fortunately, this is the very first one, and passing it is fairly simple. You'll figure it out.
Finally, can you hear me now? It looks like Atlas is starting to slow down a little.
Sounds like we did something.
Before you go any further, if you have the time or patience, it might not be a bad idea to tame a post-worker knight. This is a great sentinel we can get at the beginning of the game, and it will definitely carry you for a while. As I said before, unfortunately, taming monsters is a pain in the ass. According to the guides, this thing has a tame rate of 15%. For this level, don't worry about leveling up any of your monsters because at this point we don't need to, and unfortunately this is hands down the single most time consuming part of Final Fantasy XIII-2, so we need to save our materials. Trust me, it's frustrating as fuck. At this point we are finally ready to challenge Atlas. Don't be fooled by his size. He is incredibly easy, after you nerf him of course. You beat him just like any other boss in the game. Okay, so there's something I never talked about and I think I need to do it now before we go any further because it's kind of important. You may have noticed that if you are using 3 Ravagers, the stagger gauge goes down incredibly fast. I don't know how or why this happens, but to make a long story short, you don't want to stagger an enemy with 3 Ravagers unless you are really desperate. In most cases, you want to use 2 Ravagers and 1 Commando. For some reason, using a Commando slows down the stagger gauge. I don't know the full mechanics of this, and I don't care, in all honesty. Anytime you want to stagger an enemy, just use 2 Ravagers and 1 Commando, and you'll be perfectly fine for the most part. Maybe somebody can post in the comment sections how exactly this works. In any case, once you stagger him, the fight is pretty much done. After the battle, there's a rather long QTE, and I'm not going to show these because I think they count as cutscenes. But you know what? To this day, I have never failed one of these, so I don't even know what happens if you do. After the emotional cutscene with Alyssa, it's time to find some artifacts. The first one just happens to be right in front of you. And the second one is a little further behind you.
Go, Mom.
Way to go, bobblehead.
Now let's hop on a chalkboard to get 2 more items. And they are both hiding in this patch of grass over here.
Go, Mom.
At this point, there are 2 gates we can use. There's one right here, and there's one inside the tunnel. For now, let's use the one right here. This brings us to the Yaskas Missive, and I know I boxed that up really bad.
So dark.
Talk to the guy right in front of you, and he will give you a map. As you head for the waypoint, you will be told about staying inside of the searchlights. This area has behemoths, and unless you are severely overleveled, it's practically impossible to defeat one right now. It's best to avoid them at all costs. But for whatever reason, these monsters do not like light. If you stay inside the searchlights, they will not chase you. Over to your left, you will see a chest that has 8 mana silvers, and we are about to use them. Further down, you'll see Chocobolina. At this point, we can buy more monster materials. Unlike Sarah and Noel that use CP, monsters use monster materials. There's power, mana, vitality, and potent. and potent is basically a combination of all three. The type of monster it is will determine the type of materials they need. For example, the gremlin here is a bio monster, so it needs biological materials. And the post-nut here is machine, so it needs machine materials. Very basic stuff. However, when it comes to monster infusion, things can get quite complicated. Monsters can only have up to 10 passive abilities at a time, but this isn't something that we need to worry about until we get to the post-game. So before we go any further, we need to start building our monsters, starting with our Ravager. If you haven't already done so, head back to the Brushing Ruins, and we want to get these two little bird things. The Gremlin and the Garmy Chimera or something, I don't know what the hell. I can't pronounce half the shit in this game. In any case, they are both commonly found, and it shouldn't take too long to tame both of them. But you do need to be careful, however, because unfortunately, this game likes to mindfuck you. You see, there's actually souped up versions of these birds in this place, and they can actually kill you very, very fast. It seems like every level in this game has at least one of these, where the monster is far too strong for you at the early stages of the game. They are usually rare encounters, so hopefully you won't run into them often. Now, before you metagame maniacs shoot me out for using weak monsters, this is a basic run through the main game. The goal here is to get through the main game with minimum effort as possible. But then again, you can do this however the hell you want. With that in mind, the first thing we're going to do is level up Gremlin to level 6. Since I'm merely using it as fodder, I'm going to use my potent materials because these things are very easy to get. And now that we've done that, we're going to infuse it into this little critter right here. Yes, Negaton. This is actually going to be our main Ravager for most of the main game. It's a lot better than you think it is. One very important thing I forgot to mention is the fact that you have to tame this thing before you defeat Atlas. If you didn't get it, simply use the gate seal to close the level and play the story again. We're going to pass over this ability right here. And there we go. Now we're going to take this thing. We don't have to level it up. Just go ahead and feed it to the bug thing here. Wait a minute. Okay. Just feed it to the bug thing. There you go. And doing that will teach him fire. Back here in New Bodom, there's a certain monster that we're looking for. And there it is right there. This little toad thing. Just keep fighting these guys until you get one. There we go.
I don't feel bad.
Come on and get it, you monsters!
As I said before, we have to come back here in a way, and the reason for this is to get this little item right here. You actually can't see it very well, but there's a floating item here, and for whatever reason, Mog isn't doing his job detecting it. This is another Graviton core. There are others in the game, but this is one of the easiest ones to get. We need a total of 5 of these to complete the main game. So the reason why I recruited this toad thing because it already has the arrow skill. We don't need to level it up. Just feed it to the bug thing here, Negaton, whatever the fuck it's called. Alright, so now we're going to go to the Crystarium. And we're going to raise our little bug thing here with as many mana materials as we can. After that, we're going to use our potent materials. The highest we're going to raise this thing is at level 30. So at level 15, it upgrades to rank 2. And now it needs rank 2 materials. We're going to choose ATB guards for this one. And also, when we eventually get it to level 30, we're going to choose the ATB guards thing again. So this is why I picked up those 8 mana silvers. So I can just make it strong. So this little critter thing here doesn't actually learn thunder until level 22, but fortunately there's a backdoor around that. Since you're automatically guaranteed to recruit one of these things right here, just use him instead. I've got plenty of potent boats because there are machines all over the place in the Brush of Ruins. Just get this thing to level 8 until it learns thunder. Like that. And now we are going to infuse it over. Negaton. Infuse. And there we go. So what I've done here is, at the beginning of the game, I've created a rather decent Ravager that has all 4 elements. And a couple of decent auto abilities as well, especially Overwhelm. This is going to be our main Ravager until we get to, like, I want to say halfway through the game. Alright, so now we're gonna buy some monster materials. We are gonna buy these things right here, fertility boats. We're gonna buy exactly 28 of these. And now we're gonna raise up this machine thing I told you to recruit back in the Brescia Ruins. This thing right here, the post-night worker. I'm buying fertility boats so I can increase his HP. And this is gonna be our sentinel until we get to the silver chocobo. While we're at it, let's go ahead and take some time to get Sarah and Noel leveled up too. For Sarah's Saboteur role, I'm going to leave it at level 3 until I get to the post game. The reason for this is because the only thing I really care about right now is D-Shell and D-Protect. I don't want her doing wound, poison, and all the other stuff. I don't care about Pearl right now. We don't need that for the main game. Alright, with that in mind, there's actually a chest over here that you don't want to miss. This item right here. This is a gate seal. Make sure you get that. Now, before we leave this area, there's one more monster we want to tame. This thing right here. Gahungas. And I'm probably fucking that name up too. This thing has a really broken fair link, and I don't know what the hell they're thinking giving us access to an ability this overpowered at the beginning of the game. Seriously, it completely unbalances the combat. There's absolutely no reason to not use this thing unless you're handicapping yourself. When you make it to the end, talk to the woman guarding a gate, and eventually you'll be ambushed by a boss that will look very familiar. It's the same boss we fought before, but this time he uses debuffing skills. You might have to heal a few times, but you should be able to breeze through this with very little difficulty. Now some of you are probably saying right now that I don't have a commando. Well, actually I do. It's Noel. For the first half of the game, Noel is the only commando we need. As you can clearly see. Eventually, you'll be saved by Hope, who seems to have grown up quite a bit, and now he's actually very crucial to the plot. He's no longer a crybaby. I mean, I love this game, but the story is a complete mess with all this time-traveling paradox shit. Eventually, he will give you an artifact, and then we can get the hell out of here. At this point, the game has made it perfectly clear how non-linear it really is. There's a lot of side stuff I can do right now, but for now, let's just focus on the main game. Our goal is to the far south where there's a gate. At this point, the game wants you to head to Urba, but instead, let's make a little detour. Head back to the Brescia Ruins and take the tunnel to the gate. This leads to the Sunlove Waterscape. After the cutscene, continue forward and you will enter a boss fight with this giant Flan! At the start of the fight, toss a lever scope. This boss constantly heals himself and that's very annoying, so you need to keep it the pressure. But it's also weak to wind attacks, and that's all we're going to be using. Keep attacking until you stagger him, and heal if you need to. Eventually, you'll be interrupted by a QTE because Snow is a big show-off. The moment you stagger him, switch to Gahungas and use that broken Pharaoh link. After this, switch to Try Disaster, rail on him with wind attacks, and he'll be dead before you know it. Well, not dead because we can't kill it just yet. But, like I said a minute ago, Snow is a big show-off, so after the battle, we have a very long QTE. This battle gives you 6 potent crystals. We're gonna save these babies for Chi-Chu way later on in the game. Unfortunately, the music here isn't nowhere near as good as it was in the first game, but I guess it will suffice. Anyway, talk to Snow here and he will give you a map.
This is a map of the area. Take it with you.
The battles here are kinda tough because we're not supposed to be here yet. Also, stay the hell away from the giant flan. If you try to fight it at this point, you will die a horrible death.
Sarah, you toughened up while I've been away.
I had to. I wanted to find you and Lightning again.
Follow the path to the south and eventually you will come to a cutscene with a giant furball. This is where we get a rather hilarious ability, the Moogle Throw.
I think he's in a good mood.
Maybe he's looking forward to the free lunch.
No worries. If he does attack, take us something.
How are you going to survive this one?
This is the main reason why we came here first. If you look down on the ground, you will see a wild artifact. Make sure you grab it.
Good job.
Continue following the path on top of the trees, and unfortunately this game does have some rather clunky and annoying platforming.
Look at these guys. They sure know how to stay in line.
As you follow the path, you will come to a bunch of flan guarding an artifact. So let's kill them, shall we?
You did it.
After the battle, a chocobo appears behind you. Simply ride it back and there's a gate on the left. The artifact we just picked up opens up this gate. Let's go ahead and take care of it. This leads to the Colosseum, and after a cutscene with a certain super boss, you will get a artifact.
Come on, Mom.
There's a lot of freebies in this area, but the only ones we care about are the 7 power slivers. We're gonna give these to Chi-Chu later on in the game.
That's my mom. Come on.
Back here in Sunlove, use the Moogle to find a hidden vine, and over here you will see a hidden chest. This contains a unicorn horn. This item is really good and it's extremely important for the final boss of the game. So make sure you save at least one. Head back to the giant furball and now take the path on the right. Use the Moogle to remove the flans.
So no, you haven't told me why you're traveling through time.
On top of the path, you will see another pack of flan guarding another artifact. Let's kill them, shall we?
Trying to get to.
And there's our artifact.
As you head back, if you look on the very bottom, you will see another item. This is an artifact. Might as well get it right now. You can either climb down there the hard way or throw Mog for more animal abuse.
Yeah, good work. Mog, you're a Moogle a guy can count on.
And with that, we are pretty much done here for now. So head to the north and use the gate. It's off to the Arcalite step. Let's make a little detour and backtrack to the Brescia ruins, now that we have the Moogle Throw. In the main area, there's an item floating in the center. This allows us to gain access to the locked door. The gate in this area requires a wild artifact, and as tempting as it is to get a certain Bomb Ravager, let's assume that you're skipping it for now. Head down to the end of the path and you will find the butterfly bow for Sarah. This thing has ATB charge too, and this is going to be her main weapon for a very long time.
Maybe they can tell us what's going on.
Head for the waypoint marked on the map and make sure you pick up the Grimoire hat. It's a really good item and your main source of healing. At the top of the camp, a hunter gives you a map and then No decides to flex his hunting skills. Head for the waypoint and simply run around until you encounter a bunch of goblins. This fight is very easy of course, and for some reason there's usually a chocobo with them. This thing has a tame rate of 100% and it's also a pretty decent commando, so if you want to use it, be my guest. But personally, I'd rather not waste my materials, and once you start grinding for the late game, you will quickly see the reason for this. There's a cacti stone right in front of you, so use it so you can automatically teleport back.
Whoa! What the?
Okay.
After talking to the hunter, now talk to the woman below you. She wants you to collect wool from sheep.
I heard you
I hate sheep, especially ones that hit you with a comet. But fortunately, these sheep don't do that. Instead, all you have to do is chase them down until you'll eventually catch the little fuckers. The trick is to throw Mog in their direction, and that will distract them for a few seconds. Return to the woman after you catch all 3 sheep, and now you can finally control the weather. The type of weather it currently is will determine the type of monsters you fight. For now, pull down both levers to make it sunny. A dragon will appear in the back of the area, and this is our main target. But suddenly, a new monster spawns right in front of it. Those of you who played the first game will definitely recognize it. Even if you haven't played it, just by looking at this thing, I'm pretty sure I don't need to tell you exactly what's going to happen to you if you try to fight it now.
Okay, this one might be a bit much for us to handle.
If we could just get it to step out of the way. Maybe we can try asking the hunters.
All we need to do now is raise the right lever. This will make it stormy. Longgood will leave, but the dragon is still there. Let's kick his ass, shall we? Actually, that's easier said than done, because this boss is much harder than anything you fought before. Watch out for his diving attack, and get ready to block it with sentinels. Make sure to use Ice and Thunder because that's what it's weak to. Stagger him with Relentless Assault and keep on your health as usual. Once you stagger it, use Fanatical Dance. At this point, we can now return to the Sunluft and settle our score with the giant flan. But after the cutscene, you'll notice that it's not so giant anymore. But don't let that fool you, he's still kind of annoying. It's pretty much the exact fight as the first one, except for this time, it can actually be launched. So fight it the same way you fought it the first time, and once you stagger him, the fight is pretty much done. After the emotional cutscene, an artifact appears, but unfortunately, we can't reach it. So it's time for more animal abuse. And with that, head for the gate marked on the map. So, there is something really weird going on with the Historic Crux. The first area is a dead end for now, so don't bother going inside. Inside of the Void Beyond, there isn't too much to do at this point, except for one minor thing. If you look closely on the southeast of the map, you can see a chest on the very bottom. You can actually throw Mog down there to get it. Some of you might call this animal abuse, but I personally find it hilarious. Plus, you get a Liebescope for your troubles. With that done, head back to the portal and let's go to Urba. On this level, we are treated to wonderful, relaxing music. I love this soundtrack.
Come on, Mog.
But anyway, I'm not really collecting optional items right now. However, there's an artifact right in front of you. Might as well pick it up. Unfortunately, this level has a lot, and I mean a lot of puzzles.
Go, Mog.
These puzzles are very easy to understand, but because there's so damn many of them, it will get tedious, so hang in there. Inside this chest we have some Gesser greens, and if you look to the right you will see a chest floating in the air. Inside this area you will find a map and the vision gate seal. Once you collect these, head for the next puzzle. From here, continue wandering around and fighting any monsters and collecting any freebies you happen to come across. And eventually you will come to the next puzzle. Before moving forward, let's backtrack to this spot right here. If you look closely, you can see a wild artifact way in the back. Throw Marg over there to get it.
You did it! Go, Mog!
Continue forward and you will come to a chest that contains a Hypno Crown. At the bottom of the steps there is a Libra Scope. We should have at least 2 of these in our inventory. In this area you will start fighting a monster called Frag Leech. This thing has a very useful ability that we want to get for later on. So take a few minutes and try to recruit one. Continue down the path and eventually you will come to a rooftop and you will be greeted with a very long cutscene. Unfortunately we have to skip these cutscenes so I don't get copyrighted, so let's go straight to the boss fight. This fight was designed to be hard, but unfortunately the developers forgot that this game is kinda non-linear. Because we're doing this fight much later than they anticipated, it's a piece of cake. As soon as the fight starts, use Fanatical Dance. After that, keep spamming D-Shell until you hit him and use potions to restore your health. Switch to Try Disaster and wreck his shit. The fight should be over in mere seconds. I know many people love this guy as a villain, but personally, I can't fucking stand him. He's one of those characters who talks like he's all high and mighty. He's always talking about fate and destiny, and I just can't stand people who do that, okay? I can't. After the fight, there's a long cutscene, and for some reason, we cannot skip it. I wonder if this was a trap to get people copyrighted. By now, I'm sure you've noticed that every time you finish a level, a chocobo magically appears right behind you. The game is basically telling you that after you complete a level, use a chocobo to obtain anything you might have missed. Here's a perfect example right here. This item is a hidden Gravicon core. That's our 3rd one. And with that, we can finally get the hell out of here. Now let's make a brief return to the Yaskas mishap. And I know I'm fucking it up really bad, but who cares?
The summit of
Don't miss the gate seal right at the beginning. Head back towards the main area and you will see a very familiar cutscene if you watched any of my Final Fantasy Top 10 videos.
Welcome home.
So this is where we start creating new timelines, different realities, and shit gets really weird and confusing. Time traveling games are always such a mess. Apparently only Chrono Trigger got it right. Head for the location marked on your map and then use the Moogle to reveal the hidden artifact. It's very easy to miss. As you would expect, a chocobo magically appears behind you, so hop on and head toward the area where the behemoths were. On your way, jump on top of the hill to get another unicorn horn. Don't forget, you need at least one of these for the final boss. It's really, really important. To the far right, you will see a gate. This one needs a wild artifact, and we already have 3 of them. We have to go here eventually, so let's go ahead and take care of it right now. Don't worry, this level is not as complex as it looks. Simply follow the waypoints on the map and the game will tell you exactly where to go. All you have to do is use the switches to rotate the rooms around until you form a path that you can cross.
Nailed that one.
When you come to a room that looks like a dead end, you need to examine the computer on the desk.
Welcome to the Academy DataNet.
The code is the one on the far left. Choosing anything else will get you ambushed by monsters.
Welcome. You have access to the Academy DataNet.
This gives us a very important key item that we need to proceed with the game. And with that, we are done here. So head back to the Yaskas Missive and head for the gate on the far south of the map.
Let's go see what changed.
Back here on the Void Beyond, we have more room to run around this time. So commit more crimes of animal abuse, and you will get 2 gate seals. Now there's one last thing we need to do before we move on. At this point, we can finally enter the casino. In this area, there's a gate seal, so don't miss it. Enter the building on the far left and talk to the Chocobo woman. She will explain the purpose of these annoying fragments you've been collecting. This will automatically upgrade your Moogle throw. With this done, head back to the Arclight step and throw your Moogle inside the flower bed. And here we have Chichu! Hands down, the absolute best commando in the game, if you don't count DLC Lightning, of course, because she's just fucking busted. Now, before you start pumping him full of materials, wait, goddammit! This guy assumes you are not doing the DLC stuff because it's not free. This means we are only going to get one, and there's a very specific way that we want to build this guy. So we'll level him up later on. One thing I should mention is that it might be a good idea to save your game before requiring him and keep resetting until you get one that has high stats. But in all honesty, for the main game, it really doesn't matter.
That's my mom.
Alright guys, here we go. Academia 400. This is where shit really gets real.
400 AF.
Everything looks peaceful here in Academia. But then suddenly, all hell breaks loose. Quite literally. When I first played this thing, I actually thought this was the end of the game. Anyway, we don't want to spend too much time here because unfortunately the monsters keep coming. And once you're spotted, you have no choice but to fight them. It really sucks. From the start of the level, head to the right. Then use the control panel to change the ramp.
Now things are going our way, Kubo.
Who's closing things off?
I don't think it is a who. This is all the work of machines.
Next to Chocobolina, you will find a gate seal. Now, I'm sure you've noticed that we haven't been using the shop very much. This is because, to this day, I'm still trying to figure out just what the fuck were they thinking with the accessories in this game. Seriously, they are almost useless. But in any case, this is where we are finally going to start buying stuff. Sell anything that's useless, like elemental accessories, things that block stats effects. Trust me, they suck. We don't need them. But do not sell your rune bracelet. It's pretty good. In fact, I'm going to buy another one while I'm at it. And now we're going to sell all of our monster materials except the potent crystals, power silvers, and power orbs if you have them. Now we're going to buy power silvers until we have 24 of them. If you have any money left, buy potions. From here, we're going to power up XIII-2 to level 15. And when he reaches the next rank, choose ATB charge. He can't go any further until we get power orbs. But don't worry, we'll get them soon. At this point, we can replace Necton with XIII-2. At the end of the path, you will see 3 tiny robots. We have to defeat them to move on. There are actually 8 power orbs in this area, but unfortunately, one thing you will quickly realize is that this place is a giant maze. You will often find yourself being targeted by a sieve that you can't see, which means you won't get a first strike. For that reason, I don't spend too much time here. I can't stand it. Around the corner, you see a robot known as Fencer. There are only 3 of these in the game, and it has a very important ability for the post-game. Unfortunately, it has a very low tame rate. Continue further on until you eventually reach a cutscene, and then you'll be ambushed by more Seath battles. And this is where the hype train really picks up, simply because of the music that plays. Keep heading for the waypoint as you enter the plasma. You will follow Caius over and over and over again, and at this point, the Seath start to get dangerous. At the bottom of the stairs, there's a free set of Kaiser Knuckles. As tempting as it is to sell it, it's a pretty good item, so I will hold on to it for now. And unfortunately, the Seath just keep coming. They never stop.
No, look! Now he's over there!
Damn it. What's he...
Keep following the path, and eventually you will run to Caius again. But if you look to the right, you will see a giant Seath. This is Jazarak, and the game does not expect you to fight it at this point. If you're over leveled, it's actually possible to defeat this thing right now, but there's no point in doing so, so continue on. And eventually you will come to the 3rd and final Fencer. After this battle, take some time to level up Sarah and Noel. Head past Chocobolina and go down this ramp. You will see a hidden item. This is yet another Graviton Core. That's 4. Continue to the waypoint and you'll be ambushed by more Seath, but one of them seems a lot stronger than the rest, and we have to fight it twice. However, it is weak to win, so keep spamming it and you'll be out of this mess before you know it. After the cutscene, you'll be forced into a boss fight. This boss has a very annoying gimmick where you can't hurt it until you destroy the tentacles first. The tentacles are very weak, so this shouldn't be a problem. Once the tentacles are gone, use D-Protect and D-Shell while building up the stagger. After you stagger him, use Fanatical Dance. If you're strong enough, you should take him out before he summons the tentacles again. If not, simply repeat this process.
The gate is up there, Kupo.
And once all this is done, we can finally get the fuck out of this Seath-infested city. Our next stop is Augusta Tower 200 AF.
Paradox effect detected. Emergency lockdown in progress.
guess. We just got locked in this room.
If you've seen any of my top 10 videos, you will hear very familiar music.
Paradox effect detected. Emergency lockdown in progress.
Don't forget that right now, I'm just focusing on the things you have to do to complete the main game. Inside this first room, activate all the computers and eventually the door will open up.
Accessing the Academy datanet. Perimeter now accessible.
We're free to leave the room now, right?
Head for the next room marked on the waypoint and do the exact same thing.
Can I ask you a stupid question? Is it just me, or can you see all these people around us as well?
I can't remember or not if this is random, so just keep picking options until you choose the right one. In this very area, you will see a wild artifact. The game is special to use this one to go to the other Augusta Tower, but we've already done that, so let's move on. Activate the control panel in front of you, and then suddenly, Alyssa shows up. Don't ask me why I find Alyssa attractive. I just do.
It's like the liveliness has been sucked out of the Augusta Tower lately. The people there are all so quiet and almost robot-like. Although, I'm not human, so what do I know?
Chocobolina's here too, and at this point, she's constantly reminding you that she is not a human. But we don't care about that. Instead, in the very room she's in, look on the ceiling and you will see a key item. We need this. Head to the middle of the room with Alyssa, and once you board the elevator, things really get out of hand.
What's happening?
Is this a paradox?
This is a series of battles against a bunch of machines, and unfortunately, the elevator ride is rather unpleasant. What the fuck were they thinking having this elevator move around like this? I can't stand it. This thing almost gave me motion sickness, really. Anyway, if you're under level, these battles can be pretty tough. The Grimoire hat can really help you with healing, so make sure you use it.
One for me. One for me. That's it.
When you reach the top of the elevator, a bunch of panels materialize out of thin air. Just like last time, you need to rotate the rooms in order to make a path, but this time it's a lot longer. It might look a little confusing at first, but there's really no point in me completely holding your hand for this because eventually you will figure it out. The item box on the left is a gate seal, don't miss it.
There we go.
You think we fixed the elevator?
The next room is even more annoying because this time, in addition to rotating rooms, you have to do quite a lot of backtracking. But eventually, after rotating all the rooms and finding a bazillion robots, you will make it to the end and you will get the top floor key. One thing I need to point out before we move on is the fact that in this area, you can get a really good commando known as Dragoon. The thing is, it reaches its max potential really fast and it's more than strong enough for the rest of the main game. It might not be a bad idea to use him instead of Chichu, for the main game at least. Before moving on, make sure you take some time to level up Sarah and Noel on the Crystarium. I trust by this point you know how this works. Sarah focuses mainly on magic and Noel focuses mainly on physical strength. Of course, if you're only playing the main game and don't care about the DLC stuff, you can do this however the hell you want, because the main game is incredibly easy. When you board the elevator, the game forces you to fight a behemoth. But at this point, you should be able to take it out without too much difficulty. If it transforms, keep an eye on your health, because at that point it hits really, really hard. Head up the steps for another cutscene with more time traveling bullshit and get ready for a brawl. This battle is pretty straightforward. Take out the arms first, then go for the main body. It does hit kinda hard, so be careful with your health. Unfortunately, after you take it out, it comes back, and now it's stronger than it was before. Use Fanatical Dance if you have to. But just when you think it's all over, this thing just won't fucking die. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to fight it a third time. To do this, select one of the wrong answers. I'll explain why this is important later on. Well, it's only important if you care about getting every fragment in the game. Anyway, after this is done, tell Sarah to scream and hope and tell him to shut down these fucking machines. And what's really interesting about this scene is that you can literally hear Chun-Li doing the XIII-2. Seriously, I swear they must have ported this thing straight from Street Fighter 4.
This is what you wanted to see, wasn't it?
Here is the new academia. Everything seems to be all smiles and sunshine. Interact with the panel at the entrance, and now that this place isn't completely infested with Sith, feel free to roam around and collect all the freebie items. When you're done looking around, head for the main building marked on the waypoint. The item behind the desk is a gate seal.
What is it? What the?
Over here.
What is it? Good boy.
That's my mug. Come on, mug.
Fuck this guy, okay? Fuck him to hell. Continue into the next room and you will see a big shiny green ball in the middle. Keep throwing Mog over there until you get the Silver Chocobo. This is our new sentinel for the remainder of the game.
Nice.
Now then, since this is not a speed run, we are not going to feed it to Chichu and then use Sarah as a scapegoat. You see, unfortunately, we're only going to get one of these unless you do the DLC stuff. You should have enough potent orbs to bring it to level 10. Go ahead and do that, and this should be more than enough for the rest of the main game. Now speak to Hope and Alyssa, and you'll be asked to find 5 Graviton cores. If you've been following this guide, you've already got 4 of them.
I can't believe it. You found a graviton core. If you
There's about 3 more of these in the game, but we only need 1 to continue. Let's go get it.
Wow, this must have been tough to find.
Head back to Thief City, and now that we are stronger than ever, you should easily be able to muscle your way through these fights without any issues. Head down in the area from where you left off, and in this spot you will find a gate that requires a wild artifact. This opens up another one of those paradox affected levels. Here you will find a red paradox affected chocobo, and I really hate these greedy, ungrateful fucking birds. They are so obnoxious. But at least the music is kick ass. Continue to the behemoth area and make sure you grab the unicorn horn if you didn't grab it before. In the center of this area is a hidden item. This is a graviton core, so that's number 5. Return to the lovely Alyssa and hand over all 5 cores. In return, she gives us an artifact to open the gate.
Look what I found. It was lying next to the gate.
Keep in mind that this is a major turning point of the game, so if there's anything you want to do, you need to do it now.
Sometimes, when it looks like all hope is lost, people can turn against each other. They end up full of hate. Yakupo? See ya?
With the new artifact in hand, open the gate and, yeah, she totally fucked us over. It's okay, Alyssa, I still love you. Unfortunately, Sarah has to fend for herself for a while. Well, not necessarily because good old Chichu is still here, so you'll be fine. For all normal battles here, just use slash and burn. As you walk around, you will see Yules all over the place. Simply keep talking to her to advance the story. On your way to the final Yule, you will see a shadow figure on the right. This is Chocobolina! So just in case you need some healing items, buy them now. After talking to the final Yule, you'll be dragged into a fight with Chaos. As soon as the fight starts, use Chichu's Feral Link. This will prevent him from completely wailing on you at the start of the fight. Once that's done, hit him with Deep Protect and use Fanatical Dance. From here, go back to Slash and Burn, keep an eye on your health, and he'll fall before you know it. It will seem that this fight is a huge difficulty spike for casual players. After the battle, Kaya spouses high and mighty bullshit, and then Sarah suddenly wakes up back at home, and she's in her regular outfit. But clearly something isn't quite right here. Head to Sarah's room for a creepy cutscene, and then suddenly, lightning appears by the ocean. What we have here is one of the paradox endings. Obviously, we want to choose no, but there's no harm in choosing yes for the first time. If you do this, you'll see Sarah living a happy life. But unfortunately, it seems that Square did not intend on Sarah having a happy ending. But you do get a good amount of CP for doing it. After the paradox ending, you can continue on like nothing ever happens. This time, choose no. And now we have to run all the way to where the meteorite was. Naturally, there's a lot of monsters on the way, and unless you're pretty high level, you might want to avoid them. But it is rather cool watching Sarah fight in her normal outfit. When you reach the meteorite site, you will see a very familiar face, and you have no idea how happy this made me when I first played the game. After the beautiful cutscene, make sure you grab the 2 fragments that appear. And now for the dying world. Head for the left and you will see Noel, and it seems he's having behemoth steak for dinner. How many steaks you think we can get out of these?
Boy, oh boy. This one put up a tough fight.
As you move forward, you will see a floating chest. And although you can't interact with Marg, you can still use the Mooka Hunt to get items. But for some reason, using Mooka Hunt also kills everyone around you. Except for Noel.
I'm back.
Hi, Noel.
Yule is definitely one of the most adorable girls in Final Fantasy, but keep in mind that she is only 15 years old.
Lots of fun.
But unfortunately, this is a post-apocalyptic world, so I don't think Noel and Caius have much of a choice. Keep following Noel around, and eventually you'll be forced into a solo fight with Caius. Apparently, it doesn't matter if you win or lose this fight, so unless you're over level, it's a lot less stressful to just go ahead and lose. Continue forward and you will see yet another sad cutscene. Yeah, this game has quite a lot of those, unfortunately.
I knew all along this day was coming.
You can walk around and listen to Noel's sob story if you want to, but screw that, let's just go straight to the boss fight. This thing again. It just keeps coming back over and over. As usual, debuff him, then stagger him, then let your commandos wreck his shit. Same fight. Now, at this point, before you move any further, make sure you level up on the Crystarium, because the normal battles here can be pretty ugly. Now that we can finally see where the hell we're going, there's a few things that we want to pick up. Most notably, over here in this area is the gold chocobo. This is actually a really good commando, but unfortunately you need some high level materials to level it up. We're going to use this thing much later on in the game for one very specific boss, so for now, just keep him on the sidelines. Don't miss this chest that has 10 Vitality Essence. You can either give these to Chichu, or you can sell it for some high cash. Personally, I'd rather give him Power Essence, so we're going to sell these later on. Now hoof it all the way back into town. There's quite a lot of free stuff here, but we only care about 2 of them. For starters, in this area is yet another gate seal. Over here is a chest that has 8 power essences. We're going to give these to Chichu, of course. After you're done looking around, head for the waypoint and Marg will officially return. And after the long cutscene, head inside the space portal for the next area. So we are back here in New Bodom yet again, but this time it's completely in ruins. What the hell happened here?
What's that? I wonder if it leads somewhere.
As you move forward, you will see a portal, activated for a touching reunion. After the cutscene, an artifact appears and Marg gets an automatic upgrade to the Mooka Hunt. Now you can reveal all those hidden items you weren't able to before. And with that, things are finally back to normal. Except for one minor detail. Alyssa's gone. Ah, that breaks my heart. But anyway, before we head to the final level, let's make a few pit stops. Head back to the casino and talk to the Chocobo girl. You should unlock 2 new skills. Make sure you turn both of these on right now. And with this, it's time to go to the final level. Welcome to one of the most annoying levels in Final Fantasy. This place sucks. Fuck this place. Fuck it to hell. There's a gate seal right in front of you, so make sure you pick it up. A little further down, you'll see Chocobolina. Here's where we finally use the shop again. The first thing we're going to do is sell all the crap we don't need, like those fertility essences we picked up a while back. You probably have a lot of useless stuff in your inventory because, as I said before, most of the shit in this game is completely useless. What were they thinking? Don't forget about those gold nuggets you got a while back. Anyway, our goal is about 80,000 gil. The more you have, the better. Here we're going to stock up on power orbs, enough to bring XIII-2 to level 30. Once he reaches level 30, make sure you choose the ATP gauge increase. You should already have 8 power essences in your inventory, but we need to buy a lot more. You'll probably reach him around level 40 to 45. Head east from Chocobolina onto the moving platform and you will instantly notice why there has been so much backlash on this level. One thing I need to point out is that the game expects you to go out and do optional stuff before coming here and level up much more than we currently are right now. This is a huge difficulty spike and the monsters hit extremely hard. They can kill you very fast. What's more annoying is the simple fact that the monsters can be difficult to avoid here because they always appear when you jump on a platform. It's annoying as hell. Don't forget about these cacti stones. Make sure you activate them in case you fall off. Head for the waypoint and get ready for a boss fight. You know the difficulty spike is completely unbalanced when the normal battles are twice as hard as the boss fights. What the fuck were they thinking? Also, I don't know what happened, but for some reason I completely forgot to use my Libescope here. Both of these things have an element of weakness, so if you use the Libescope, it'll make the fight much easier.
If you continue, you will commit a great crime. Ask yourself, is this the right path? Time must be stopped.
This fight isn't as difficult as I'm making it look. It's just a simple fact that I forgot to use my Libescope. It makes a big difference. The gimmick here is very simple. After you kill one, the other one will try to revive it. But even with our current stats, you should be able to take both of them out without too much difficulty before they revive each other.
I can see a world without daughters.
After the battle, now we have to deal with these puzzle cubes. I hate these things. For starters, turn this one blue and then head back to the way you came. All the way to the south, you'll see another block. Turn this one red. Head back north and use the platforms to reach the waypoint. There's another cube here and a cactar stone. Ignore the cube for now and jump onto the T-shaped platform. On the west platform, turn this cube from red to blue. Now use the T-shaped platform to reach the other side and make sure you grab the gate seal while you're at it. Now, unless you're really good at dodging enemies, let's take a second to change our paradigms. There's a very annoying monster here that can easily one-shot Sarah and Noel. At a low level, the best way to handle this thing is to use your sentinel to sponge his attacks while Sarah and Noel build up the stake. But even sentinels can nearly get one-shotted by this thing, so make sure you keep their health up. Once you stag it, use 3 commandos to launch him in the air and he'll be dead before you know it.
We're such a great team.
Use the rotating platforms to reach the waypoint all the way on the other side. At the bottom, you'll find another one of these annoying monsters. Once he's out of the way, activate the cube to make it red.
Come on, Mog.
Backtrack to the T-shaped platform and head for the waypoint. Watch your step to make sure you don't fall off. Head up the platform and get ready to run for your life. The monster on that platform is Proto-Behemoth, and unless you are severely overleveled, there's absolutely nowhere in hell you can defeat it right now. Avoid it at all costs. We'll come back for him later. Much, much later. I don't know what the fuck they were thinking with this monster, but he hits just as hard as the ultimate boss of the game, and it is simply ridiculous for a normal enemy to be this difficult. And now we have finally arrived at the final battle in Final Fantasy XIII, for the main game at least. At this point, you should have some more junk to sell so we can buy more monster materials for Chichu. The goal here is to get him to level 45. He ranks up and once again choose ATP guards. And now we can finally use those potent crystals we got way back in the Sunleft Waterscape. We're only going to use 5 of them for now. Use these potent crystals to get him to level 50, and then he will learn Faith Feeder, which is really, really helpful for the final boss. Now heading to the final battle with these current stats is kind of suicidal, so feel free to go back and power up as much as you wish. But if you're careful enough, you'll be fine. Let's do this. The first battle is kind of straightforward, but it is pretty annoying considering the fact that your commandos can't reach him. Not only that, but he can't be staggered, apparently. I like to use Fanatical Dance at the start, but sometimes he will remove your puffs. It seems to be completely random whether he does it or not. Anyway, what I like to do is raise the stagger to about 150, and at that point just keep spamming Ruin. If you're technical, maybe you can sneak in a Faith or two. Mega Flare is his fuck off attack, so you know what to do. Now, I don't know what the hell is going on with Caius, but for whatever reason, he really has it in for Sarah. In this battle, he will constantly target Sarah over and over again as long as she is active. And I think this is one of the main reasons why speedrunners use her as a scapegoat. Not even a Sentinel can provoke this guy. If your monster has ally KO Power Surge, they would do more than double damage. But as most of you know, I really love Sarah, so I'm not having that shit. Now, there's so much chaos and destruction going on that you can't see what's happening. But basically, Chi-Chu is doing all the work. All you really gotta do is pay attention to your health, no biz up the stagger, and Chi-Chu wrecks his shit. As soon as the third battle starts, he opens up with Ultima, so you know what to do. Immediately after that, use Fanatical Dance. From here, spam Relentless Assault and keep an eye on your health. He would keep trying to cast Bravery and Faith on himself, but Chi-Chu would just steal it from him. Just like last time, there's so much chaos and destruction going on that you might not be able to keep up. But basically, Chi-Chu is doing all of the work. But unfortunately, this bastard just won't die, so we gotta do it again. Don't even bother with the Saboteur job here because Chi-Chu is doing so much damage that it won't matter. As I said before, if you come here too under level, you might have some trouble, but if you keep spamming your potions, you should be okay. How is that for an introduction to a final battle? You are fighting not one, not two, but 3 Bahamets. That's much more badass than whatever the fuck this was. Target Garnet Bahamut first. Garnet Bahamut will constantly have bravery, and this is where Chicha uses Bravery Feeder to steal it from him. Just like any other boss, stagger him first and then reckon with commandos. Once he's down, target Ember Bahamut. Ember Bahamut will constantly have faith, and once again, Chi-Chi will just steal it from him. Once they are both down, it's time to take down Jet Bahamut, and this is where things get a little ugly. Remember that unicorn horn we picked up way back when? This is where we're finally going to use it. I really wish I didn't have to cast Deep Protect 30 times before it finally sticks. That shit's annoying. I hate that. But anyway, first thing you want to do is land Deep Protect. Once you do this, build up the stagger. Eventually he would cast Seeds of Destruction, and I have no idea what these things do, and I do not care. Once you stagger him, try to get it to about 600 or 700. Then immediately after that, use Fanatical Dance. At this point, you need to be really careful. If he's really low on health, he will use Divine Sun, and that will most likely one-shot your entire party. Apparently, he has about 5 more attacks that I never even seen before. But if you're lucky enough and fast enough, you should be able to take him out before he uses any of them. Well guys, that is Final Fantasy XIII-2 in a nutshell, the main game at least. It doesn't get difficult until you get to those last 2 stages of the game, but as long as you have Chi-Chu, you'll be fine because he just destroys everything. There is so much more stuff to do in this game. We've only done about 200% of the game, honestly. Only time will tell if I would do a follow-up on this. I guess it depends on if you guys really want to see that. So, thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. Post comments. Let me know what you think. If you want to support me even further, I have a Patreon. And I will see you guys later. Take it easy. DK out.